Well, now we've got the fun out of the way. Larry
Yeah.
Pegram, welcome back to Australia.
How you doing, mate?
Bloody good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm having fun. I don't know what. I knew it was time for my practice because it started raining. So I didn't even, I don't know what you guys are doing with the weather here, but you got to fix it.
Mate, we've had some really wild weather at the moment, as you can tell, with the bushfires and the rain and the dust storms.
Well, you need the rain, so I'm glad you guys are getting the rain. Not good for riding, but great for you guys.
What, did it take you much convincing to come back again for another visit?
No, last year, I didn't know what to expect and kind of came here not knowing, and then had such a great time and enjoyed it so much. I knew I was coming back after the first day.
Even more determined, I suppose, being the typical racer?
No, I don't care if I win or lose. I'm just here to, have fun.
What a load of it, eh?
Probably on the last lap, if I was racing with somebody, I'd probably just let them.
Yeah,
win,
I'm sure.
'cause
Yeah, I know.
I'm not a competitive person by nature.
This is a comedy show at the moment too, I think. But no, it is a good place here in Phillip Island on a dry track.
Yeah.
And in the wet, it's not too bad either.
Yeah, the only problem with this place when it's wet, it's usually 50-mile-an-hour wind at the same time. So it's my favorite track in the world. That's what got me here last year. I didn't know anything about this event, and excuse me. And then came last year, had a great time, and kind of did all my own wrenching last year, which that's a risk in itself. So I brought in my old crew chief Dave Weaver, who has been with me for pretty much my whole life, and try to be a little bit more serious, but still remember to have fun, because that's what this thing's about, is having a good time. And I always tell my kids it's fun. Remember to make sure it's fun, but you know how to make it more fun. Go ahead and win. Yeah,
exactly.
So.
And were you surprised I've been saying this to everybody, were you surprised, because it reminds me of Colin Edwards when he came out here a couple of years ago, he's just shaking his head.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe the competitiveness and how we all joke and have fun off the track, but once it goes out there and it's the red lights go out.
Yeah, I think it's everybody that's racing here is either former champions or really good riders that are up towards the front end of this thing. So of course, like I said, we could have a ping pong match, or we could go get on the go-karts, and it's going to get serious. This is the way it is. But, our group and the Mojo Yamaha group, Dave and Larry, they did a good job this, what I call our off-season, which is a whole year between these races, of improving our bikes, and I think getting us, on par or maybe even better than everybody else. I'm really happy with my bike, and we've only got one practice so far, but it's a big improvement over what we had here last year. So I think we might surprise some guys.
I hope so. I reckon it's good. It's Josh went away from here very close to taking the overall, and if it hadn't been for that incident in the third leg, I think he would have won the overall as well. And he's come back. You've come back more determined. And, I think it's just great for the category, and hopefully the English can build it up again. They're going through a bit of a regeneration at the moment. Within a couple of years, they'll be back there as well.
Yeah, it would be cool if we keep growing this thing. You know what I mean? And maybe get some Italians and some Spanish and English, and the Irish need to be on their own. You can't really mix the English and the Irish. I mean, that's what I'm told. I don't know. No political there. But, I think it would be cool to really get everybody here. I think this could be one of the, in Ohio, we have a racetrack called Mid-Ohio. And one of the biggest weekends they have, bar none, for the whole racetrack is the Vintage Weekend. So it's really cool to see this stuff. And I think this could be one of those type events where it's one of the biggest weekends for the whole track.
Well, we could have a home and away.
Yeah, we could do one in Mid-Ohio too. Yeah.
So what do you do during the 12 months? What training do you do in 12 months to come here? Do you do much coaching? Do you still keep your eye on?
Well, I did a bunch of flat track races last year, so I came to this one and got me a little bit motivated. So I started doing some of the American Flat Track Series, and I was going to do 1 or 2 of them, and ended up doing 9. So and then this year I'm going to do 12. So there's 18 races, and I'm doing 12 of them. I'm riding on a factory Indian, so I did pretty good last year, and didn't win any races, but got up in the top 5. So I'm 47. The next oldest guy, I think, is like 33 in the series. So I won a couple of the preliminary races and run up front in the main. So it was fun. I wasn't in great shape, so I'm working harder this year to get in a little better shape. But I'm still trying to remember to have fun, because that's why I'm doing it. But and then I grow weed. So I never thought I'd do that. It's
Well,
legal.
there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah, there is. It's legal in the state of Ohio where I live. It's medically legal, and I went 3 years ago. Went out for a license. It was a competitive process and got one. And so we've been growing medical cannabis in Ohio. We have a company called Pure Ohio Wellness, and that takes up too much of my time. You know, I have a real job, so to speak, which I've never had in my life. I raced motorcycles my whole life, so it's interesting. It's fun, but it's still not racing motorcycles.
Yeah. And speaking of motorcycle, with the Indians, they've really come back big and strong, haven't they?
Yeah, Indian is basically owned by Polaris, so Indian kind of had a few reincarnations in the past, and they were pretty weak, but this one's really strong, and the company's doing well. They're selling a lot of motorcycles, and their flat track bike's the best one out there. So, when I had the opportunity to ride one of their bikes last year, I was really honored by it, and then did pretty well, so they got me one for this year too.
Mate, I'd like the Springfield Mile is one of my bucket list jobs to go and have a look at that. You guys doing 120 mile an hour average laps and things like that. It's just complete. And you see all the videos of it, but there's nothing that you'd have to be
It doesn't give it justice until you go basically stand on the inside of the guardrail on turn one, on the first lap of the race, and you go, okay, that just got real.
Well, if we come over, you'll have to get me on the inside there.
We went to Indy, the Indy Mile, and it's the similar track to Springfield, and Rossi was there when they did the Indianapolis race, and he was going to ride. That's when he was racing for Ducati, and I had a Ducati flat track bike, so he was going to take it out and ride it, and he went to turn one for the first practice, and he walked to me, he looked at me, he goes, "Nah, ain't happening. I am not going out." He's like, "There's no way." Nicky actually ended up riding that bike that night, and I think Kenny went out on his old TZ 750. So it was a really neat night, but the flat track stuff is cool. It is. It's fun. It's what I grew up doing, and so it's still. It's real similar to this, to be honest with you. This vintage stuff, when you get to the superbike level and you get to the world superbike level or whatever, everybody's still friendly, but there's a difference. And then when you step back to the flat track level, it's kind of like, hey, my bike broke. Oh, well, we got a part for you over here. You'd never see that in a world superbike paddock or in a MotoGP paddock. And same thing here, even more so. It's like the dirt track crowd. It's like, oh, you need this? Here, take my wheel. So that's cool because that takes me back to when I rode as a kid, when I had fun, and it was you wanted to win, but you wanted your buddy to line up next to you to try to beat you and see who was better that day. So that's what I think makes this fun and keeps everybody engaged, but you still want to win.
Well, hopefully we see you here for a few more years trying to win.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting old. They might not let me come here much longer.
Well, they say a lot of riders are getting old, but one bloke, 41 years, he's 41 years old next month, and he got the fastest lap record at Malaysia at the Malaysian Grand Prix. Rossi or whatever his name is.
Yeah, he's not as old as me though. I'm 47 now, so I enjoy it. And
47 body, but still 21.
Oh yeah, I know. I had a guy. I don't know how many years ago it was. God, probably 20 years ago. I was racing for Ducati, and I was doing an autograph signing at a motorcycle dealership for Ducati. And an older guy came up to me at the time. He was older. He's probably 50, and he said, "Hey," and I was probably 30, so maybe it was like 17 years ago. And he goes, "Hey, don't ever retire until you want to." He goes, "They're going to tell you you're old. They're going to tell you got to retire. Ride till you're 80 if you want to." And I thought, it was just some guy coming up to me while I'm signing autographs. And I just remember it kind of stuck with me because I still remember it now. So when I decided at the end of 15 to retire, I thought about it. And then I started riding again. I was like, you know what? I'm never going to retire. I'm just going to keep riding. I'm not going to go full, I'm not making my living racing. I'm not going at it full time. I'm only going to do events I want to, but I'm never going to totally retire.
Well, it's the best way to be because I think it keeps your brain active and it does keep you young. And no matter what anybody says, whatever motorsport you do, there's nothing like the start grid of a motorcycle race. And I think that's what keeps a lot of guys going because that adrenaline rush on the grid, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, there's nothing like going into the first corner, whether it be here or on a flat track race or whatever. You just can't explain it unless you've done it.
Exactly, and the adrenaline buzz. It's noisy, but quite so many things to talk about. But Larry Pegram, welcome back to Australia. Good to see you again, and hopefully you keep that passion going for a lot of years and keep coming back in.
All right, thanks.
No worries, mate.
Right.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.